Hey guys, I'm back to listen to chapters 2 and 3 of The Dark Inheritance. Like I said, on Monday, I had planned to record the chapters and then I had to leave school unexpectedly, so I'm getting them to you now. If you did not listen to the first chapter of this new book, you want to scroll back up through the favorites section in the specials channel, and you want to look for library, The Dark Inheritance, Chapter 1. All right, so let me get, I've been using the website Epic Books, and there's a way that you can create classes and assign books to people in here. So after we finish this book, that is a possibility that I'll be looking into. Instead of me posting the videos, it would actually let you log in and go to like read the assigned chapter. And if as long as it's an audiobook, you can still listen to it. But then you guys could have access to other books on here. So I'm going to be looking into that in the next couple weeks. Okay, so let me screen share with you. Here we go. Okay. The Dark Inheritance. Oh, it's A Dark Inheritance. Unicorn File Books number 1. This one, Alexander's Army is number 2. So we're listening to this one, A Dark Inheritance. I can't promise that we'll listen to this one, but if you find out that you really are enjoying this story, then you can go ahead and read book number 2. All right. Let's go back all the way to 0.
Chapter 2. Weirdo. Mom took us home first and made me undress in the center of the kitchen. My uniform was streaked with grass stains and mud. Everything except my blue spotted boxer shorts went into the washing machine, including my socks. Some hero I looked. Josie took a picture and labeled it Lady Killer. She would dine out on this for weeks. After showering, I put on my spare school stuff and came downstairs and sat in the living room. Mom called from the kitchen. "Don't get too complacent, you pair. You're going to school as soon as I'm done." "Whatever," Josie sighed and continued texting, which reminded me, her phone. She had photos of me and the dog on her phone. But as I leaned forward to speak to her, the doorbell gave a lengthy ring. "Would one of you get that, please?" I glanced through the front window. "Mom, it's that reporter again." "What?" Mom sounded like a wasp in a bottle. "The woman at Berry Head. And the man," Josie added, jumping up to take a look. Mom came through, drying her hands on a towel. "I don't believe it. Have they actually followed us home?" She checked the window and headed for the hall. "Stay there, you two." "Yeah, as if." We peered into the hall as Mom opened the door to Candy Streetham. "Hi," said the raincoat girl, flashing a smile any toothpaste manufacturer would have been proud of. Dazzled, Mom found herself a little off guard. "Look." Miss Streetham instantly filled the gap. "It's okay, we don't want to keep you. We got most of what we needed from the boys in blue. Quite a drama, sorry we missed it. Just wondered if we might have a quote from Michael." She flipped me a wave. "It is Michael, isn't it?" Even if she'd wanted to, Mom had no time to register her hurt. Our names were common knowledge to members of the press. Any seasoned reporter in Holt and Byford was aware that this ivy-strewn 18th century cottage was home to the tragic Malone family. Just over 3 years ago, my dad had walked out of the house to catch a business flight to New Mexico. He had never come back. It was the hole in our life that we tried not to talk about. His disappearance had made the national news. Barely pausing for breath, Candy went on. "Brave boy, your son. Why'd you do it, Michael? What was going through your mind when you got out of the car?" "He thought the dog was going to jump," said Josie. "Josie, be quiet." Mom said curtly. But there was no stopping Candy Streetum now. Didn't I see you flashing a cell phone? I felt Josie nod. Pictures or movie? My heart thumped. Josie's camera was state-of-the-art. Had she managed to film me ghosting on disc? No, was the answer. Pictures, she said. Candy aimed a pistol-shaped hand at her. That's my girl! Do you want to show Eddie? The cameraman smiled. He had swept back hair almost down to his shoulders and pitted skin around his lightly tanned cheeks. He had a stud in one ear and a scar along his neck. His eyes were the color of a pebble beach. Look, they should have been at school half an hour ago, Mom said, stepping sideways to block an approach. And I am also late for work. And I've only got one pair of hands, Josie mouthed, mimicking the usual follow-up line. Since Mom had gone back to full-time work, she'd been talking on and off about hiring an au pair. Seriously, this won't take long, said Candy. It would be awesome for us to have a picture of Michael with the dog. Josie was already thumbing her folders. Will it be in the paper tonight? Front page, said Eddie, checking his lens. We don't want that sort of exposure, said Mom. She crossed her arms. Always a bad sign. Candy changed her approach. Trust me, I do understand. She tucked a sickle-shaped frond of hair behind her ear. Despite the breadth of her tooth-whitened smile, her attempt at sympathy had all the sincerity of a James Bond villain. The wind whipped sideways across the step. She rubbed one foot against the back of her calf. After everything you've been through, still going through, more press is the last thing you need. But the story's going to be splashed all over the papers anyway. Bravery in kids is headline stuff. People will want to put a face to the name. If I owned the dog, I'd want to know who saved it from those rocks. Who is the owner? I asked, as Josie handed over her phone. Candy ignored me and paged through the pictures. She touched one and fed the phone back to Eddie, asking him quietly what he thought. Too distant, he said, with a shake of his head. A black cloud formed over Josie's space. Though I'd like to take this one back to the office. He spread his fingers to enlarge a pic. Really? Said Candy. Bit blurred, isn't it? I might be able to work with it, he said. It's amazing what you can get from a digital shot. He glanced at me again as he flipped out the memory card. Before any of us could object, he'd fed the card into a slot on his camera and was busily uploading Josie's images. Meanwhile, Candy turned to Mom again. Could we have a picture of Michael anyway, just as a backup? Out here, maybe? She grinned like a weather girl predicting sunny spells. Mom's chest expanded with air. I don't mind, Mom. I just wanted to be done with it now, so I could go to school and forget about the cliff. I was missing English, my favorite subject. I touched Mom's arm and stepped out of the house. They arranged me on the lawn, but away from the cedar tree, wanting the meadow in the background, they said. Eddie asked me to raise my hands level with my chest, as if to say, hey, it was nothing. I save dogs all the time. He took shots of me smiling and a few more of me looking concerned. The camera seemed to click about 50 times before he was satisfied he'd got what he wanted. All done. Camera loves you, Candy said. She reached up and tousled my hair. My mom's waiting, I muttered, and tried to push past, but Candy stopped me and drew me so close I could see the faults in her peach-colored makeup. Why did you think the dog was going to jump? Don't know, but you sensed it, right? Suddenly, her tone had changed, as if she'd sharpened her tongue on the bare edge of truth. I don't know, I said again. I've got to go. What about the cliff? She stepped across me slightly. The dog was half a soccer field from the road. How did you get to the edge so fast? I glanced at Eddie, who was watching me keenly. I'm good at running. Really? She pulled her eyebrows tight. You don't strike me as a sprinter, Michael. Tall, a little skinny, more marathon man than Usain Bolt. She picked a piece of random fluff off my jacket. Let me tell you the thing I'm struggling with here. None of the cops remember seeing you catch the dog. Do you want to comment on that? Excuse me, are you done there? Mom had my school bag in hand and was locking up the house. Almost. Candy turned to me again. They're saying it was like something superhuman took over, like a force they didn't understand rushed in. She tilted her head. Her hair fell down as straight as harp strings. Eddie swung his camera to the opposite hand. It was Misty, I said, and this time I got away from her. Candy sighed and clicked her tongue in frustration. But how could I possibly describe what had happened when I didn't even understand it myself? Right, said Mom as I reached the porch step. No more shenanigans. For the second time that morning, she bundled us into the car. At the end of the driveway, we had to pause for traffic. Candy was walking back to her car, swinging her hips like Holden Byford's next top model. Despite the tension of the last few moments, there was still one thing I needed to know. Lowering the window, I asked her again, "Did you find out who owns the dog?" She put her hands into her pockets and shivered. She tumbled my question around on her tongue before deciding she would give me an answer. The dog's called Trace, and it seems to belong to... Candy, let's go, Eddie called over. He was leaning on the open door of their car. Yeah, one moment. The office wants us. Now. Chill out, Candy said to him. What's the rush? She fished out a notebook. The girl's name is Freya Zielinski. Freya? I almost spat the name back. I thought I saw Eddie frown. Candy's pencil-thin eyebrows twitched. You know her? Of course. Everyone knew Freya. She was in my class, the weirdo in the corner who everyone ignored. Is she dead? I asked. I didn't like the girl much. None of us did. Even so, it made me sick to think of her jumping. Again, Candy didn't try to answer quickly. But before she could offer any sort of reply, Mom had gunned the throttle and we were on our way. Who's Freya? Josie asked as we sped toward Holton. I caught Mom's eyes in the rearview mirror. No one, I muttered, looking away. She must be someone, or you wouldn't have recognized her name. She's a new girl at school. The one who looks like she lives in a coffin. A common description of Freya, yes. Vamp was a name they taunted her with, or Crow. In the eyes of the popular crowd, Freya's dress sense was lifted right out of a Scarecrow manual. I've seen her around, Josie babbled on. Mad hair, like it's been cut with a hedge trimmer. Massive sleep bags under her eyes. Slums about in a hoodie. It was her dog. Josie, just shut up, okay? Only asking. She stuck out her tongue. All right, you two. Mom had heard enough. She put on the radio to break up the argument. She's no one, I said to my reflection in the glass. The pale-skinned goth who sketched pictures of dragons, the freak who'd left behind an orphan dog, Freya Zielinski, victim of a horrible, bone-crushing death. She was no one. No one at all. Chapter
Okay, we have chapter 2 there. Still trying to piece together what exactly happened with the dog. Getting reporters and investigators trying to put the pieces together, and he's trying to put the pieces together. And at the end of chapter 2, we hear a new name, Freya, and she is the owner of the dog, and apparently everybody calls her emo or a vampire. So I'm picturing someone very tall, skinny, pale, black hair, So somewhat like a vampire. So we'll listen to chapter 3 next time. I know you said we might today, but chapter 2 is long enough. So I will enjoy listening to some more of this book with you guys in just a few more days. All right, so I'll talk to you later.